Okay, so here we are for round 6 of the PTQ finals. I'm playing Blue-Red Tower, and going into round 6, I am, what am I, 3-2? And there are 2 rounds left, round 6 and 7. So I lost to Green-Black in round 1, beat Red-Black aggro in round 2, lost to White-Black humans in round 3, beat Green-Black in round 4, beat Green-Black in round 5. So going into round 6, we're dead for top 8 at this point, but I have been working on this deck for a long time and wanted to see if it could stand up to a high-level tournament like this. So this hand is great in the dark. We have an early piece of interaction, we have a nice curve for Anticipate into Dynavolt Tower, and these hubs will do a good job of charging our tower. Forest Attune, I pretty much always just assume that they're on Marvel when I see a tune. It's possible they're on the Temur Energy deck, or I guess that deck has become more popular than the Red-Green Energy deck at this point, the aggro Red-Green Energy deck. But Marvel is the third most popular deck in the Moto metagame at this point, so we just assume that he's Marvel, which he is. And this matchup can be scary if you did not keep an opening hand with a counterspell in it, but even having just one counterspell against this deck, because we have so many ways to flash back stuff, one counterspell goes a long way against them. So took the Anticipate to continue digging. They don't play anything super scary until turn 4. So we have one more window to dig for a counterspell. Don't hit it, but taking Anticipate there allows us to possibly hit Negate or Revolutionary Rebuff if he plays Chandra instead of Marvel. So he does not have an untapped land on turn 4, which is big money for us. We get one more turn to dig. So we're digging, we hit our counterspell, which is great news, and we get to kill his servant here. Bottoming that Glimmer is a little saddening, but yeah. So we are in business. Basically found 2 of our best cards against them, and get to counter his Deliriumed up Ishkana. Draw basically a blank. Even a land there would have been nice, because we would have been able to get Dynavolt Tower online. So we just get to kill his servant. Casting Take Inventory. We still have Void Shatter up, and Rebuff, and Harness Lightning. Get to rebuff his Ishkana. Even though Rebuff doesn't hit Aetherworks Marvel, it's still really good in this matchup. So we still have Void Shatter up, or Catalog. Have to Void Shatter this Aetherworks Marvel. So at this point, we have 1 Void Shatter and 1 Negate as counters left in our deck. And holding up Catalog to dig for one of those, if he plays another threat this turn, is not... There's not a high likelihood of hitting that. Instead, we're just going to give him the 1 window here, and try to develop our board with Dynavolt Tower, and then hope to draw Gear Hulk off of Catalog. So we play the Dynavolt Tower. Unfortunately, he does punish us with this window that we give him. Oh, no, he does not. So we get to Catalog. Discarding the Harness Lightning versus the Tower there. It's a toss-up. Okay. So once again, we only have 2 counters in our deck that we can cast after casting Glimmer, so I'm playing to the board. He didn't play a threat last turn, so he would have to draw one this turn, which he does, and it's unfortunate that we can't counter it. He gets to spin the wheel, and he gets Ishkana. So Marvel being in play at this point is really bad for us, especially since we've already used 2 of our Void Shatters. But it's not completely game over. We still have 4 Gear Hulks left in our deck. We can theoretically just counter his Emrakuls and try to take over the game that way. So casting Take Inventory, we get to keep up Gear Hulk mana, and we just draw a ton of gas. So he's going to get to spin the wheel again. Yeah. Killing the spiders instead of Ishkana here is the line, because Harness Lightning can straight up kill Ishkana by itself, and if he marvels into another Ishkana, killing the spiders is more beneficial. So he marvels into another marvel, and he has more than enough energy to spin it again. Hits Emrakul this time. We get to counter it, but don't have enough mana open to be able to get some of our removal out of our hands, so this trigger here is going to be really bad for us. Him using a bunch of energy here to kill the Torrential Gear Hulk is actually like a really important misplay that he made. Him using up 6 energy is a big deal. It seems like he just has infinite amounts of energy in play right now, but at a later point in this game, he does just run out of energy to keep spinning his Marvel. And this line here, he didn't have to do it. I think he did it here because doing it during my mind-controlled turn is just a real big pain on Magic Online, because you're never sure like who has priority, and you have to click OK for both players. So I think he did it here as a shortcut, but it was a definite misplay, because we have a handful of removal and could have just killed the Gear Hulk. He could have just killed the Gear Hulk with our cards instead. So I'm not sure what the absolute best line for him to take here. Like, if I were him, I probably would have flashback Catalog and then try to discard stuff. But he goes for just killing our Gear Hulk or our Dark Dwellers with our own spell, and then shooting down Femoral with our own tower. And this is going to leave us with no energy. So that was not a terrible Emrakul turn for us, but losing Dark Dwellers there was pretty big. So Anticipate finds us our 4th Take Inventory, notably putting 2 lands on the bottom. We get to draw 4 cards here. Unfortunately, we don't have enough mana to now Gear Hulk anything. He's going to get to spin the wheel again, and we are in a lot of trouble here if he hits an Emrakul. He does have 3 left in his deck. Yeah, so we get to kill that, wipe his board, hold up Void Shatter, representing Void Shatter. He doesn't know we don't have more Void Shatters. And I think it might be wrong to negate this here, because our towers are just going to kill Chandra anyway. But we, that's the line that we took. We did it. Bombardment gets to go to use. Doming him with the energy, because if we have too much energy, then he just gets to use it all with an Emrakul trigger with our Harness Lightning. So we don't want to be stockpiling too much energy. Doming him here is not that relevant because he's at such a high life total. But okay, so he's hard casting an Emrakul, which is not good for us because now our shields are down, and we do not have the ability to counter an Emrakul off of his Marvel. We do get to put this rebuff to use though, so we still have one Void Shatter left in our graveyard for future Gear Hulks. He's spinning the wheel, hits Chandra, makes 2 mana, and pops his Puzzle Knot. So we get to finish off Chandra with our towers. Yeah, this is the line that we could have taken last turn with his Chandra, and then we would have still had Negate open. Granted, we wouldn't have used Negate on very much here, but I think I still would have rather have had Negate in my hand. So we get to kill Chandra. Nope, wrong button. Yeah, I'm trying to get, since I don't have a way to, basically those removal spells in my hand become a liability if he Emrakuls me, so I took the opportunity to get them out of my hand, as well as charge up Dynavolt Tower. Oh, this is the Emrakul turn. So this is him controlling my turn, which is why I used those removal spells so that he couldn't use them himself. But he luckily drew our 3rd Gear Hulk, and that Void Shatter was probably the best card we could have drawn outside of our 4th Gear Hulk, which we end up hitting as well. So it is very possible that we still win this game. He gets 1 more Marvel spin. Oh, whoops. Excuse me. Alright, sorry about this. Internet has been a little tricky. We will be right back. So yeah, just this game in general, I think we end up losing this game, but the fact that it went on for so long after he had a Resolved Marvel really speaks volumes to the strength of this deck. Like, we drew all of our take inventories and got to flash 1 back for 4, so we were, I think we end up losing the game to a Resolved Emrakul and we have no threats left in our deck. Or we have no spells left in our deck. Almost no spells. Sorry for the interruption. Here we go. So this was round 6, game 1. And we're gonna go forward a bunch here. Yeah, so even though he resolves a Marvel, gets to spin it a bunch, like, the game was for sure not over. Okay, this is pretty close to where we were at. Okay, so we went a little bit past where we were. Let's see. So we had a Dark Dwellers in play, got killed by a Chandra. He ends up Emrakooling us. We have to Gear Hulk and Void Shatter it. He takes our turn, gets to throw away the Void Shatter in our hand, and yeah. So this is... We just took our turn and attacked him with Wandering Fumarole. At this point, I've pretty much resigned myself to losing this game because our only win conditions left in the deck are Fumaroles, and we don't have any spells left in our deck. There's 11 cards left in our deck, and we've drawn 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 lands. There is 1, 2... There's 2 lands in our graveyard, so that's 18 lands. There's 24 lands in the deck. So there's 6 lands in our 11 cards left in our deck, and no more win conditions. So at this point, I'm just grinding out his clock because we're up 6 minutes on him, and I think he ends up drawing his 4th Emrakul and kills us with it. Yeah, so he hits his Emrakul off that vessel. He's gonna kill us with it, but we stay in the game anyway to eat away at his clock. His Emrakul turn. Yeah, he had 3 Emrakul turns this turn. So, yeah, that really ate into his clock, as well as, like, playing against this deck with a really clunky deck like this. Like, they have to think a lot about, like, what, when they want to play their threats into potential counter spells and stuff like that. So, like, we're way up on time on him. And games 2 and 3 get way better when we have Summary Dismissal in our deck. So, yeah, I ate a minute and a half off of his clock after the point that I knew that I couldn't win. So, we do actually finish the match before time ends, which is insane. But this game 1 was very epic. Like, this was a really good game. And I was very happy with it, even though I lost. So moving on to game 2. Marvel, in general, I think is a pretty good matchup. They're very slow and clunky, and once we get to bring in more counter spells, they don't have very much to combat us. So I take out the Dark Dwellers against them, because we usually aren't able to tap out 5 mana at a time. In order to, like, we just always want to keep counter magic up against them because their threats are so potent, but they are incredibly clunky. Sided out 2 bombardments. We still want some number of bombardments because they bring in Tracker, they still have Servant. Killing Servant is actually really important. And then I trimmed 1 Tower. Tower is important at keeping Chandra in check, but and also, like, eventually killing them once we stabilize with Gear Hulks. But they usually bring in Natural State if they see towers in game 1, so I don't want too many. I don't want to lean on it too hard. So that was how we sideboarded, and we're on the play in this game. So this hand is great. We have Rebuff, which doesn't counter Marvel, but we do have Anticipates to start digging for more counter magic, which there is much more of in the deck now. Get rid of those islands. We found a pseudo red source, and yeah, so if he jams out a Marvel on turn 4 and we don't hit a counterspell off of one of these Anticipates, then the game is going to turn into a grind. But they only have 4 Emrakuls, we have 2 Summary Dismissals. So take Summary Dismissal here because we're probably just going to throw it at whatever he plays next turn. But having it in our yard is really important because it makes future Gear Hulks better. So we get to rebuff this, and use all our mana with Anticipate. And Gear Hulk here is the clock that we want to keep on him. We are still 1 land shy. So no reason to counter the Puzzle Knot. We drew our Gear Hulk, which is great, or our land for our Gear Hulk, which is great. And this is an Ishkanah, which we are going to get to rebuff. And we are on the board. Notably, he has 4 minutes left on his clock. We get to take inventory, keeping up Summary Dismissal mana. And Essence Flux means that we get to basically have another Summary Dismissal in our hand. Oh, not anymore. So he's killing our Gear Hulk, which is unfortunate. So we're main phasing Catalog here, discarding Galvanic Bombardment. Yeah, if he plays a Emrakul here, we're in trouble, but he does not have the 7th land nor the Emrakul, and we just get to keep gassing up. So rebuff will be able to counter Emrakul. Instead of playing out Dynavolt Tower this turn, wanting to pop Blighted Cataract, which we will be able to do even if we have to cast rebuff. So Emrakul here, we get to rebuff it. And luckily, we don't have very much that this Emrakul trigger is going to lose us on. I think this is for sure wrong. Like, yeah, he should not have done that, because we would have... That's exactly the play that we would have followed up with next turn. And now we get to have a Gear Hulk up. So... I don't know why he popped that Blighted Cataract, but... it definitely made us not dead to this Emrakul. So we got a little lucky here, for sure. We would not have been able to do that if he did not pop the Blighted Cataract. So we've gotten 2 Emrakuls out of the way. Here's a Marvel. So I think what we do here is we go digging. It might have been correct to go for Anticipate here, because Anticipate digs 1 card deeper. But I've got a bunch of dead cards clogging up my hand, so I go for that line instead. Yeah, get rid of the tower. We let the Marvel... No, we're still digging. So we get to Anticipate now. We find Void Shatter, which we can't cast, unfortunately. But he cannot yet spin the wheel on Marvel. So he's 1 energy away. If we kill the Servant, then he can activate Marvel. But we have Void Shatter ready now, so that is fine. So we get to attack him. He gets to break the world, but we get to exile it. And him having no energy here is real nice. That negate is real nice. Like, he still has 2 Emrakuls left in his deck, which is pretty scary. But just get to kill him. Yeah, so we got pretty lucky this game. Yeah, there's no reason he should have popped the Blighted Cataract. Like, even if he drew one of our best cards against him, which would be a counterspell, he would not have been able to waste it. So he just gave us a bunch of value for no reason. Yeah. So going into game 3. Notably, at this point, he's got like 2 minutes left on his clock. 1 minute and 30 seconds. So this hand is fine. We get to start digging. Oh, this hand is actually, it does not have a blue source, so we have to use our energy very wisely here. But I think I kept this hand because Glimmer gives us something to build towards to re-up on our blue mana. So, digging for an island, don't find it, but we find a land, which helps bridge us to Glimmer. And awkwardly, we need to play Aether Hub here, because we want to be able to negate any Aetherworks Marvel. He does not do anything, so we take that as a sign that we're good. Negate is enough to hold up here, because even if he plays Ishkana, it will not have Delirium. It's completely fine if he resolves an Ishkana. We get to counter this. And now we have all our shields up. Well, we don't have Summary Dismissal up, but he's nowhere near Emrakul. So Ishkana, let that resolve, take the time to Glimmer. So I kept one of the islands because we do want double blue for Void Shatter, but we definitely don't need 2 of them. Or Void Shatter and Gearhulk. So now, yeah, it's really tempting to counter this here, but he does have 4 mana available, and I guess we could cast double Void Shatter this turn theoretically, but I let this resolve. I believe I let this resolve, yeah. And instead take the opportunity to get Ishkana off the board. Probably would have been right to play Gearhulk there and cast Glimmer, but I guess I'm playing very conservatively here. So he's 1 mana away from Emrakul. This warrants a Void Shatter. So he says go. He's got 8 mana. He's 1 mana away from Emrakul. We do finally get to flash back our Glimmer. And he has the Harness Lightning, so that's fine. Bottoming both of those. Find more card draw. And now we have Void Shatter plus Gearhulk mana. So, oh man, I'm so greedy. Never want a Gearhulk for anything less than a Glimmer if I can help it. So that dismissal is great. I guess I kept the tower too. Just want threats. He's notably got 25 seconds left. Yeah, so at this point, I'm kind of just dirtling around, play out the tower, even though there's no need. And this actually came as a really big surprise. because I was not expecting Ulamog. Like, theoretically, Ulamog could have ended the game in 15 seconds if it had resolved, but luckily we just have summary dismissal here, and nothing happens. We get to anticipate, find our second summary dismissal, and he's got 13 seconds left, so we're not that worried about killing him. And we get to... yeah, he concedes. He can't kill us in time. He's also got no cards in his hand, and we have everything. So, yeah, game 1 was a slugfest. Game 2, he punted and gave it to us with that Blighted Cataract, and then game 3, everything lined up really nicely. We actually finished game 3 in a minute and 30 seconds on his clock, so I was impressed. But yeah, in general, I'm pretty happy to play against Marvel. Yeah, so now we're 4-2 going into the last round of the tournament. So we'll be back for round 7.